Hello, it's Tuesday, May the 25th, and we are in the prophecy of Isaiah. Yesterday in chapter 23, looking at Tyre and a brief mention of Sidon, the Phoenicians to the northwest of Galilee, and to the northwest of what was the old northern kingdom of Israel. Today in chapter 24, we now come to a generalized description of the judgment that is awaiting the whole earth. Isaiah has just spoken about a judgment that's coming to the surrounding nations in the form of the military might of Assyria, but that launches him off into a discussion now of that being just a precursor of the final judgment, perhaps, in chapter 24. And he's looking ahead as far as his prophetic eye can see. And what does he see? The earth will, verse 3, the earth will be utterly empty and utterly plundered, for the Lord has spoken this word. And verse 6, therefore a curse devours the earth, and its inhabitants suffer for their guilt. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are scorched, and few men are left. The wine mourns, the vine languishes, all the merry-hearted sigh. It's a gloomy chapter. It's about God's judgment. In verses 8 and 9, there's no joy, there's no singing. And then in verse 10, and we'll pause here and pick this up, he speaks about the city of meaninglessness, the broken down city in the ESV. But the Hebrew word is the word tohu, which is in the second verse of the Bible in Genesis chapter 1, that the earth was without form and void. Tohu and bohu, it's one of the first things you learn in Hebrew. Tohu is it's without form. It has no meaning. It has no purpose. And there's a sort of an Ecclesiastes moment in verse 10 that the world is looking for meaning, it's looking for purpose, and can't find any, because without God, without Christ, without the gospel, without true truth, there is no meaning and there is no purpose. And then keep on reading because it gets better. Because there's a remnant. Isaiah loves this remnant theology. There's in the midst of the destruction, there are always a few whom God spares and who turn and serve the Lord, and who are willing to see that beauty and glory belongs to the righteous, to the ones declared righteous because of their faith in God. Well, it's a general sort of chapter about judgment with a sound of a remnant at the end. But from the Tower of Babel to the United Nations today, the world is looking for meaning and purpose, but can't find it outside of the gospel. And Isaiah, the evangelical prophet, as he's called, is telling you where you can find meaning and purpose. Well, that's Isaiah 24. We'll be back tomorrow with 25.